Over the years, I've encountered backpackers walking the length of Great Britain and always been inspired. I've decided now's the right time for me to have a go at this myself. This is my video log. Hope you enjoy. Good morning. No surprises, it was a cold night, but see my breath. But it was super still, which is good, and because it's so cold there's no midges, so I'm able to have breakfast in bed. I've got 5 layers on. Didn't resort to the down jacket. Still had other layers as well if I needed them. Just don't want to ever go cold on this trip. I've even got ensuite facilities, pee bottle and trowel tucked in there like a skiing do. Well, I guess it's more like a skiing poo. 7:15 and I'm off to the Cluanie Inn. So yesterday I mentioned we dropped down to this river. What I should have said is we climb up beside this river and then drop down to the loching that feeds it. So just as the map suggests, this track does keep disappearing, but you can always spot another part of it ahead. The symbol in the Harvey maps is it shows the dashes with a little gap between them. Tell you another thing about the Harvey maps that I wish I'd paid more attention to when I did this the first time, and that's the little blue, I was going to say rainbows, humps, arches, little blue arches on the map, light blue. They show areas of peat hags, so definitely try to avoid those when possible. So the glen's starting to turn the corner now and head more easterly towards Glen Affric direction and Altbeath Bothy. And just joined this excellent track path that's come from the other side of the loch and from Kintail and Morvich, heading down towards Altbeath Hostel. I should really do this more often, you know, stop when the weather's fair, have a wee break with a coffee or flapjack or whatever. Nice grassy islands for camping here. So shortly I'm going to be joining the route of the Affric Kintail Way, which comes from that glen over there, where Cambam Bothy is over the other side. So once again I'm going to be on familiar ground and indulging in memories, as that was well, me and Finn's first long distance trail together and our first go at wild camping. Yeah, it was pretty miserable weather, I remember that. And I remember being grateful for the bothy, so somewhere dry to cook before crawling into the tent outside. Happy times though, you know. Whoever maintains this path has bloody big legs, or doesn't wear a backpack often. And there we go, back on the Affric Kintail Way. Actually, when Finn and I did this, we started from Inverness, and our first day was walking down the Great Glen way to Drumnadrochit. So if you're interested in that, I've got a rather shaky old YouTube video, one of our first ones together. So I'm only on this briefly, heading for that suspension bridge over there. and then kind of double back and then start heading south down that glen over there down towards Cluanie. Well, that's a bummer. If I'd known I was going to be stuck in this side of the fence, I would have just waded the river. Kind of want to be up there. Okay, failed that intelligence test. It wasn't locked even though there was a padlock on it. You can hear there's so much more bird life where the trees have had a chance to grow. And that's the glen, just came down. You might just be able to make out Camban Bothy over there. A couple of things about this path. Firstly, it's quite high up above the river. Secondly, the start of it from the Glen Affric end is marked with white sticks, and believe me, you want to find them because it took me a while to cotton on to that. It's pretty rough going because it's untrampled. There's, you know, you're in an enclosure, so no deer tracks to follow. Looks like we're going to get to drop down. Finally, according to the Harvey map, you kind of keep above the river and pick up a track. I think I've earned one of these regardless. So I've always thought it would be so nice to arrive at the Cluanie Inn after a day out in the hills and actually know you've got a bed there for the night. Sit and have a meal. Be nice and cosy and warm, especially if it was a wet day. It's been a fantasy of mine. And well, today I'm actually going to check that personal box, I suppose. Although the weather's not terrible, but what the heck, I've walked all the way from Cape Wrath to get there, so quite pleased with myself about that, so I'll take that. I have to say, I'm not entirely sure how comfortable I am with checking into a hotel dressed like this. I mean, I've got a full change of clothes that I intend to change into, but I can't be stripping down naked in the vestibule. So looking across Loch Cluanie now, that's where I plan to be heading tomorrow. Quite a nice view of the South Shield Ridge. One of the few situations where you're grateful when motorhomes are slowing the traffic down, but there does seem to be a fair amount of room. Some of the traffic's absolutely flying by though. A bit of a change from last night. So considering they've done 11 days in the Cape Wrath Trail, the feet are in ridiculously good nick. Good morning. Bit of a wet one, but the week ahead looks amazing. So today's going to be a particularly long day. I think nearly 25 miles when I measured it. Over to Invergarry. I'm camping at a campsite tonight. I think a lot of it's track though, but not to start with. I've got to go over the sort of eastern edge of the South Shield Ridge here and drop down, and then a climb over another ridge and then drop down again, and a bit of squelch as always on the Cape Wrath Trail before picking up the forest track. So let's see how this goes. once again, this journey's linking memories for me. I've been up here, I think it was 2013 when I was training for the UTMB, and I ran the South Shield Ridge and then ran back along underneath it, Glen Loyne. That's the sort of crazy stuff you have to do training for these ultras, although that's pretty tame compared to what some ultra runners get up to. Talking of ultras, the Cape Wrath Trail ultra's on at the moment. I was expecting to cross paths with them a couple of days back, but they obviously took a different route than I did. So Harvey Maps has you taking a trail for probably a good kilometre, sort of down to this glen, but heading more to the west, and then coming back along the glen. So I'm trying to cut the corner given I've got such a long way to go today. And okay, it's wild walking, but once you've done enough Cape Wrath Trail, that's no big deal, is it? And if it gets really shit, I will let you know. Yeah, that was good. Absolutely no bother going down the way anyway. I wouldn't do it on the way up, obviously. But that's the track just there. Feet have gotten wetter on trails. So I've just crossed the River Loyne there, picked up the path on the other side, which is gonna, looks like there's a gate in the fence here. It's gonna take me up over this. It's marked as an intermittent path in the Harvey map, so we'll see. So I met my first other walker of the day, coming north. She's actually doing the Scottish National Trail. It says this pass actually is not intermittent at all, it's dead easy to follow, so it's good. And this is supposed to be the wet day of the week. I've dared to take my jacket off. It's actually quite nice. Heading for that forest there, I guess. So I'm currently dropping down to the single track road that twists a long way to Kinlochhourn, and I'm guessing that these power lines, this power line is the same one that you pass under on the Cape Wrath Trail going into Knoydart. I'm guessing it's the electricity supply for the Isle of Skye. Guessing. There we go. So it's a bit over a mile along this, and then we drop down to the right over a bridge and continue the journey east on the south side of the river in lochs. Another attempt at a shortcut. This is showing as a route on the open street maps. It's like little dotted circles. That was horrible. It's a felled forest. Probably quite dangerous. Yeah, you could be ending your journey pretty easily in that stuff. So I'm not sure I'd recommend this, but let's see how it goes. Just because I've got a long day today. Once again, a cuckoo's providing the background soundtrack for my action. came from, the corner of those trees. Anyway, got away with it. Now it's just approaching 1 o'clock, so I'm going to find a spot for lunch and have a wee break at some point soon. That's a tent. Someone's just pitched right across the feckin' trail. I have to laugh at my Garmin. It's got these things to encourage you to do exercise, you know, like step counts and stair counts. What I'm finding is I'm hitting my stair count quite early in the walk, like after about 20 minutes each day. But I've only just hit today's step count target and got my fireworks display on the screen. Like, I've been walking for hours. That is not a sustainable lifestyle. So this is what's marked as a ford on the Ordnance Survey map. I kid you not. This is a promised bit of squelch. It's been going on for about 2 and a bit miles. It's just longer than I would have liked, to be quite perfectly honest with you. I'm looking for somewhere nice to have my lunch and sit down. This isn't it. So that's why I'm still walking, even though it's 25 to 2 now. So we do eventually end up on Forest Track. I think it's when we get to a place called something like Gary's Goulash, something like that. It might be this thing up here actually. Gary's Goulash. I'm going to assume we want to be through this gate. Yep, you definitely want to come through that gate. I'm definitely flagging now. I think I've had the energy squelched out of me back there. Just looking for the right rock. It's nice and sheltered in the trees at least. You know what that'll do. Cheese and brown sauce as requested. Cheers, Mum. Wow. How old is that? You know, when you're tired and stubborn and refuse to accept that it started raining, so you leave it way too late before putting your waterproofs and pack cover on. That's kind of where I'm at just now. Because it's just like Forest Track walking, Forest Road really. I've just got these, I'm just ticking off miles, you know, I've got these mental milestones in my head. So Greenfields Farm back there was one of them. And I remember from the map where this track divides, I take the right fork. That's another wee milestone. There are some nice bits of forest here. Another wee milestone, the Outladdie. Next one's where there's a junction and the road swings to the right, and then the next milestone after that is the road climbs to a wee pass and starts dropping down. When I get there I know I'm nearly done. It just shows you how good the Cape Wrath Trail is though. It's the first day I've had to resort to mind games, although I am enjoying myself a bit more again now. I think that's my first glimpse of the Great Glen, the far side of it. So that's quite exciting too. I keep thinking about taking this jacket off. Every time I think about it, the sky fires a warning raindrop. Oh, there's the sun as well. How dare I take my rain jacket off and my hat. So that's my final mental milestone for getting to Invergarry. Dropping down now. I did set myself up to this long day. with my shortcuts, probably about 24 miles at the most. But, a bit longer than I would normally enjoy, but doable. Anyway, I wasn't going to have a beer tonight, but should the opportunity present itself. So this morning my pack was the heaviest it probably ever needs to be on this trip, because meeting up with the folks at the Cluanie Inn, I got my resupply bag and took what I needed from that to get me home. So that wouldn't have helped today either, having that extra weight. But I'm certainly eating it already. Nicest bit of the day. Oh, that was close. Look what I nearly lost. Ooh. Left the campsite at about 7 and heading down to join the Great Glen Way. It's taken me 40 minutes just to get onto the Great Glen Way. Here we are. I've just walked an extra mile and a bit for no reason, doing a big circle. There's a footbridge across the river. Never mind. I'm out for a walk, aren't I? That's my first partial view of the Great Glen. And that's Loch Loch down there. Look how still it is. I just realised last time I did the Great Glen Way, the only time I did the Great Glen Way, I was going up this far side along an old railway line. I think that's shut now. So I haven't actually done this bit, which I guess is a bonus. This is a bit nicer. I just saw a coffee van go by in the road there. I was wondering if I could thumb a coffee. Definitely feel in need of a coffee, so I'm going to have a stop when I can. I need some water though, if I'm making it myself. Tell you what though, this is really busy, the Great Glen Way. People on bikes as well. It's nice to see, like folk from all over. Certainly a bit different after yesterday, when I only saw one person the whole day. So this path does actually go over to Tom Doon, where I was walking yesterday basically, and cuts a big corner off from where I've gone via Invergarry. So I'm just wondering why the Cape Wrath Trail alternative route doesn't make use of this. And you can see it on the map. It's been marked as a long distance route at the start of Loch Loch there, as a route to Tom Doon, 12 miles. I don't know what state that path is in though. Obviously that's Munro access there, but once passing Munro's it probably deteriorates significantly, and God knows what state it's in, descending into the industrial forest on the other side. Nicest bit of the Great Glen Way I've been on all day, I'd say. Well, I did promise myself. Cheers. Also got my first view of Ben Nevis there. I think today is going to be my first day of zero squelch on this walk. I mean, you should see how clean my trousers and shoes are. I mentioned a few days ago that the midges had arrived. Well, this morning the chopper arrived, to the extent where they slowly change the colour of your inner tent, starting from one corner. So that midge head net that I nearly lost this morning got promoted to the top compartment of my bag. Unfortunately, a lot of other stuff's been promoted to there, so it's still hard to find the bloody thing. Better than it being dropped in the road behind, I guess. Those midge head nets are the best invention ever, one of them. Totally make a difference to your experience of packing the tent up in the mornings. And my routine is I have everything packed in my bag, as I've said before. So when I get out of the tent, it's just a case of taking the tent down and attaching it to the outside. With the midge head net on, it's actually not too bad. It's not as, but without it, it's complete hell. I've been walking into headwind, a cold headwind, for most of this walk since Cape Wrath. My eyes are struggling actually. I hope they're not damaged, just fatigue, but I've been seeing these orange flowers at the side of the road, wondering what the heck they are. I was ready for this. Perfectly positioned bench as well. And an excuse to eat the chocolate before it melts. A much closer view of Ben Nevis now. I love this field of daisies and buttercups. I haven't seen much of that for a while. After 2 weeks in the Cape Wrath Trail, that's exotic and lush. That's another memory shared with Finn right there. The Grey Corries Ridge. On that day Finn did drag me for a pint after. Well, nearly at Speen Bridge, or so I thought, until I saw the road stretch about 1.5 miles ahead.